So we'll start with the wrists. There's two types of joint mobility that you can do. You can do closed chain, which means you're connected to the ground, which we just did a closed chain drill. You can also do open chain, which is in the air. So in the air, let's try joint mobility with the wrists. Stack the fingers, A-OK, and you're just gonna stack middle finger, ring finger, and then pinky finger, and then the opposite. So imagine you're holding an ice cream cone. A-OK to ice cream cone. We'll do about 10 repetitions of each. And I want you to try to get as much muscle activation as you can in your metacarpal, all your wrist muscles. So really, really maximize how much force you're putting on there. So this is a nice way to just mobilize, get some blood flow to that area, and activate some areas that might have motor amnesia because you're so used to doing the one thing, which is flexion holding. This is going to prime the wrist joints in different ways to kind of wake up the other sleeping muscles. And this is good for carpal tunnel, big time. If you're starting to feel any signs of carpal tunnel, do these little joint mobs every day with your wrists. And this is just one of many. All right, so the next one, open chain. You're going to come into wrist extension, like you're riding a Harley. Sound effects are good. And then hands down, hands up, and then hands down. And I'm curious, how does this feel for you guys? Does this feel like no work at all, or does it feel like you're starting to really activate things? Because you guys have pretty powerful wrists because you use your wrist so much. So I'm just wondering how many reps you guys need to be doing. You're feeling it? You're feeling it in your forearm? Okay. All right, so we won't do too much with this one. This is more like strengthening and mobilizing and activating the motor units in your wrists other than just the flexors. All right, so next we can try moving this part of the wrist in and then this part of the wrist out. And the tendency is to do a gross motor movement first, which is move the elbows, but you want to try to just move the wrists in and out. Yeah, glue those elbows down. And try to keep your wrist neutral so it's not in flexion. So if you're sitting on a chair, you might feel like you're neutral, but you're actually in flexion here. So make this plane, yes, move like this. Good. And then you can start to put those movements into a circle together. So you're going ride the Harley, wrist inward, wrist down, wrist out. Oop. Ride the Harley, in, down, and out. And eventually, imagine you had like one of those props, like a ball, and you're just moving your wrist over the ball. But just the wrist moving, a little bit of elbow. Yeah, good. Shine up your ball on either side. It might be kind of good on one side. I like to do them kind of both together. And it's not just this, it's this. And if you hear any cracks or pops or feel any sort of like sometimes you can hear these little sounds. Those might be adhesions breaking up. So the adhesions could be the myofascial density.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we want to break up the adhesions. The adhesions, that's different. That's actually gas forming in the joint.
Should I be worried?
Well, one thing you can do is when you're doing these, listen and feel when you hear the pop. And as you continue to do these joint mobility, the motion, eventually by the 5th or 6th one, the pop or sound will go away. So mine's already gone away. It was doing it initially and now I don't have it. And I see some grimacing faces over there. Is it painful or just weird? It's not going away. Hours and hours of poi. This is just starting. I'm building a toolbox.
Also hours and hours of typing.
Yeah, so the carpal tunnel, yeah, being here. All right, so moving back to the wrists. Here, cast the fishing pole, bring it back. Cast, and back. Try to just move your wrists here to here. So when you're swinging a club, we use intelligent grips. We're actually going here to here. All right, so now coming to the ground, turn the hands in, come onto the knees, turn your elbows in, start to paw. This one is called bulldog for obvious reasons, because we all look like bulldog. No laughing, this is not funny, no. Please laugh as much as you want, whatever makes you remember it. What's that?
Is it fingers first and then you roll down?
Yeah, so it's just the same pawing action as seal, which is this. And you can alternate between your bulldog and your seal. Maybe 2 bulldogs, 2 seals.
Wait, how far out should the bulldog go?
Well, it depends on your flexibility. So you might go farther than your neighbor over there, so it depends on what your bones, where your bony limitations are.
Got you.
So is the aim to get the wrist farther forward?
The aim is to release the residual tension that you've accumulated from flexion. So if I'm putting myself here, I'm in maximum extension of my wrist. This is flexion of my wrist. So I'm just trying to spend some time in the opposite so that I can kind of reverse the process of, or just prevent an overuse injury. All right, here's another fun one. So our open chain inversion and eversion with the wrist looks like this. Our closed chain is, look at this little hole here. I'm going to aim this hole down towards the ground like this. And that feels yummy. And then I'm going to roll out of it. Thumbs, or a little eye of the fist down, and then eye of the front side of the eye of the fist down. Back side down, front side down, back side down, front side down. And it might suck, and that's the thing about releasing residual tension, is that if it sucks, you probably should be doing it, because there's, yeah.
Definitely.
So then when you get really strong, you can start to eventually hold it here. Don't try that today,
So
but.
what exact position are your fingers in? With the fist?
A fist. So now I'm just applying a little bit of a load. It does hurt. It's like, this would be like equivalent to like if you were to have someone massage your wrist. Like you're using the ground and this soft yoga mat to start to release, basically dig in there and get the, yeah. Roll it up a little more if you need to. All right. So that's the wrists. Now let's move on to the elbows. So the elbows are a ball and socket joint. So the elbows can swivel around in an open chain. So let's start with the thumbs facing each other. Come into full flexion of the elbow and then turn your palms outward and come into full extension, even if you're hypermobile. Keep your thumbs out and keep a closed fist here. And what's that? Hypermobile. So if my normal person extension is here, my extension's here, so I actually can go beyond 90 degrees, which would be hypermobile joints. You're a little hypermobile. And usually you're kind of just born either hypermobile in some joints or not. It's not something that you can generally change, but hypermobile people have to be really, really mindful of strengthening the muscles surrounding the joint so they don't get an overuse injury. All right, so the closed chain version of this would be, let's see, hands face forward, eye of the elbow forward, eye of the elbow inward, forward, inward. So I could think of, mine are gonna go way farther than most people here because I'm hypermobile in my elbows. So yours might be here to here. This would be like normal range, here to here. Now spread your fingers really, really wide, and this is something that I saw a lot in the yoga practice, is most of us dump our all of the force right here. We don't distribute it evenly in this particular group of athletes. So I would say, first thing, make sure that your hands are actually pressing. Like look at the fingernails and see if they start to become white.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, when your fingertips become white, then you're distributing the force there. And you don't have to do it that hard, but I'm just trying to give you a experience to kind of see what that would feel like. And now from that pressure on your finger pads, let your elbow swivel in and out. And what you're doing there is you are flushing your elbow joint with nutrition, and you're also removing toxins and waste that have accumulated in the fascia. So the fascia is sort of this like web of connective tissue where nutrition hangs out and waste hangs out. And if it doesn't get flushed like a toilet, everything accumulates there, and
That sounds shitty.
it can lead exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it can lead to a host of injuries. Osteoarthritis is a really common one if our joints get really brittle. So let's continue to move up the kinetic chain. We're actually going to go into the neck now. So open chain neck mobs. Place your hands on your sternum. You can sit in a position like this or cross-legged, whatever's comfortable for you. Push down on the fascia that's on your chest. So there is that case of connective tissue around the muscles here. And you'll start to feel a little bit of a stretch, and then slide your neck forward and then back and up. And try to keep your chin relatively level with the ground, so don't tilt the chin up at all, just forward and back. And notice if you hear or feel any little pops and cracks or any sounds. And if your body is rounded forward, maybe come to an upright position. All right, now the fun part. Start to come back to the center. Start to slide your ear to the left or to your right, whatever side you want, and then the opposite side. So I guess your left, my right, and back. And try not to tilt at all, just translate or slide. Yeah, Kat's got it going, Nick's got it. Translation? So the cervical vertebra can move two ways. They can keep going like that. They can either tilt or they can slide. And right now we are sliding and recovering any lost range of motion that might be in our neck. And once you've established that you can go slide forward, you can slide side to side. Now you can put those movements into a circle. Try going forward, left, back, right, forward, left, back, and right. And then smooth out the circle. And don't go for a big range. Keep it small at first. And try not to recruit any extra muscles like in your jaw. But keep your gaze on the horizon instead of down. And then switch directions. Yeah. And then you can also do this with your jaw. I know a lot of us hold a lot of stress in our jaw. This is going to look really weird, but I'm going to do it anyways. All right, so I'm going to open my mouth, slide to one side, slide up, and slide down. So it's going to look like this. A little exorcist action. And switch directions. If you have jaw issues or you clench your jaw, this would be a good way to start to release that residual tension in your jaw. Okay, try tilting your left ear down to your left shoulder, and then slowly look up towards that beautiful ceiling up there. And feel that stretch in your neck. And then bring your chin down to your right shoulder, and then bring your ear towards your shoulder, and then look up towards the beautiful ceiling on the opposite side of the room. This is a figure 8 pattern. Chin down, left ear down, sweep up. Chin down, opposite ear down, sweep up. Make sure that you have 2 circles, one on either side of the shoulders, versus this, which would be just 1 circle. This is not what we're doing. That's another move. I'm going to try to get the figure 8 infinity sign. And you'll notice you'll hear little cracks and pops, and eventually, the more you do this neck mobility drill, the more that those will eventually go away. All right, and then come back to the center. You might be a little dizzy. Now the fun part, doing this on the ground in a closed chain joint mob. So I'm going to roll up my mat so I have a little more support here. Watch first. I'm going to roll from the hairline here to the crown of my head, like this. And you're going to feel, go ahead and try this, and then come back to the hairline. And you'll feel the muscles in your back start to stretch in your traps. And it should feel pretty good. If you have a sensitive neck, or if you've had like previous vertebra injuries in your neck, this might not be the best one for you. Also, if you've had open brain surgery, which I do actually have a client who has a lot of scar tissue on her head from having a brain tumor removed. This is not prescribed for that because it's too sensitive. All right, so then you come back up. Next, building on that piece, next progression would be to go from crown of head over into a semicircle to the ear, crown of head to ear. That one feels really amazing. At least it does for me. The first time I did it, it was a little weird. But you're using the ground to sort of give your neck an end point for which to stretch upon. So if I try to do this open chain in the air, I might not be able to see where my true end range is, but when I have the floor there giving me feedback, I know that that's my true end range. Last one. Try a few more. I'm just going to watch your guys' technique, your form. Maintain contact with the ground the entire time. Good. Yeah, go right to the ear. Doesn't feel right. You might be putting a little too much pressure. So come up to your hands like this. And then lightly put a little pressure on the side of your head, like right here. And then a little pressure right here. So it's like if you listen to headphones, it's like if you had your headphones up here. That's where you're aiming for, right here. Good. Does that feel a little better? Yeah. Okay, and go towards the crown of the head on the way through, and then to that little headphone spot. Good. Nice, so you've got it right over there, Malcolm. Awesome. All right, so those are closed chain neck mobility drills. Now let's move into the shoulders. All right, so chasing shoulders, start with your arms straight out here. Keep the elbow joint completely locked. Draw one shoulder back and down, and then draw the other back and down. And notice how the top of my thumb is here. So I'm not here like Spider-Man, I'm more like I've got a flashlight and I'm shining it at you. Chase and chase. Yeah, exactly. Why am I contracting my hands? I'm contracting my hands to maintain elbow lock so that I'm ensuring the movement stemming from here. If I keep it relaxed, then I don't actually have the shoulder pack that we worked on in yoga today. I don't have those muscles working. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're using those lat stabilizer or shoulder stabilizers. If your wrists are down here, bring them up a little higher. Now switch directions. Good. Alright, and then Tai Chi twist. So you're just going to smack one shoulder and smack the kidney. This is really going to be fun for the speaker here. Good. We got open chain, thoracic rotation. Last two, last one. All right, so this next little segment here, all the closed chain shoulder stuff, this is going to be really helpful for those of you that have come up to me asking about the shoulder issues. This will help to heal your shoulders and release the tension that's accumulated in the shoulders. So there are several different parts. The first part, watch first. You're going to start here. This is maximum shoulder flexion. If this causes you any pain or impingement, then this might not be the best one for you. So I'm going to roll over my inside shoulder, so that's my left shoulder, up and over. It's going to be pretty tender because I've got a lot of residual tension built up there. And then roll out back into maximum flexion here. So go ahead and meet me here. Make a shooter finger, toes pointed, elbows locked. If I break at the elbow, my movement's not coming from my shoulder anymore. So I have to maintain elbow lock. Okay, everyone go to the right side, which is the left side of the room. So you're going to roll over, park the hands underneath your body, hold, and then come back out of it. Point. Yeah, it feels really weird. Again, elbow straight, pivot onto that ball and socket joint. Hold. Now the pressure of my body against that shoulder is what helps to release that residual tension. Come back out. Let's go the same side, like 5 reps. Over, pivot. You can use your feet too, like I'm flexing my feet so that it's not so awkward when I roll. A lot of these grounded ones are better on like a martial arts floor or like a carpeted floor, but they're not a bed, some sort of softer surface floor. All right, so then you can switch sides. Notice how that shoulder was affected though, like the front side of the shoulder is getting a bunch of force put on it in a good way. Okay, up and over. So turn your body like this, and then park your hand underneath your body, roll over the shoulder, and it's in that moment that you're massaging the shoulder. Hold, and then come out of it the same way. Turn the body, release, flexion. Again, here to here. I know it's really uncomfortable. Try to be as non-clunky as you can. I'm going to come around and check your guys' form. Good. So you're breaking at the elbow joint. Keep your elbows straight. Yeah, turn your body. Keep your hands against the ground when you turn. Yeah, you got it that time. Nice. All right, so that's not everyone's favorite one, but it's really, really effective for releasing this here. So majority of your poi work, is it done in the front of your body or in the back of your body? Is it exactly 50-50, or would you say it's more in the front? So if I'm more in the front here, I need to release the fascia here because I've accumulated stress in this position here. Even though it might not seem like a lot, you're moving a weight and you're generating force in the front of your body all the time. So it's really, really important to get that part to release. Let's see, next one. This is going to release more of the rear delt. So I'm going to thread my arm underneath my body, and check out the angle here. My right hand is threading and it's at the same height as my shoulder. My left hand is reaching down my body. So this is rest and this is the stretch. I'm going to come down, reach my left fingertips down, pack my shoulders, feel that stretch in the shoulder. Come out of it, a little bit of rest, and then again go right into the stretch. All right. Synovial fluid as well. Switch sides when you're ready. So left arm is long, roll over, tenderize that meat, reach and stretch. The more activation I can put in that bottom arm, and the more I'm prone or facing down, the more of a stretch will happen.
Serious stuff.
Fascial work, yeah. All right, last two, guys. You're doing great. Last one. Just remember, there's a group massage at the end of this, so all working up towards that.
It kind of looks like in here.
So maybe reposition your shoulder back a little bit, back towards Malcolm, and try. Yeah, now try.
Gotcha.
Is that better?
Much.
Okay. Okay, now the other fun one is, especially since we're doing all this work in the frontal plane, we did this one yesterday in yoga class. So you're climbing up and over, and then I'm going to circle my straight arm. Again, my elbow is locked to ensure that the movement's coming from my shoulder, and I'm circling here. Every time I go back into my farthest point, that's when my bottom shoulder gets released, or gets that little moment of release. So go ahead, pick an arm, maybe right arm first.
How do you get that?
So my shoulder might go farther or less far, then just it depends on your body. Yes, good. Let's see some straight elbows. Let's hold the flashlight, close the fist, hold the club. There you go. And then switch directions with your circle. So even though it might kind of like hurt or be slightly uncomfortable now, the result later on is that you're going to feel, your shoulders are actually going to feel a little bit better because you've released. Go ahead and switch sides. They say a little bit of pain for a lot of bit of longevity. A lot of bit. It's a very technical term, a lot of bit. Very scientific. All right, try one more time on each side. Roll up and over. And try the other side again and see if it's gotten a little easier. And it should feel a little easier this time, second time around. Does it, or is it still hard? Still hard, okay. Some people might feel a little bit easier. And then switch sides. Elbow straight. Point the thumb towards wherever it is that you're circling, as if you had a flashlight in your hand. And then come back to center. Slowly peel yourself up. All right, now the next site of common areas of pain is right between the shoulder blades. And a lot of you guys have come up and chatted with me about that. So one common thing that you'll find with people that have that tightness between their shoulder blades is a lack of mobility and rotation in the thoracic spine. So you can test your range of motion by just doing an arm thread. So watch here, watch the degree at which I'm turning. So some people might be here, some people might be here, some people might be here. So if you had a goniometer, which measures the actual axis of rotation, you can kind of take a mental note now. Try threading your right arm through and just take a little mental note of where you land before we do our joint mobs. And then switch, thread your left arm underneath with your palm facing down. All right, so check it out, see if you feel mobile there, if you don't feel mobile there. One thing that I'm seeing, like Malcolm over here and a couple other people have their hips really, really high in the air. Scoot your hips back towards your heels to ensure that the movement's happening just in the upper spine and near thoracic spine. So here. Now we're actually getting our true thoracic range, which might be a lot less than it was with our bum high in the air. All right. So let's now try to mobilize that area. So we're going to do repetitions. This is only one of 3 different exercises we'll do to start to open up that area. And then we're going to remeasure and see if we've improved our thoracic rotation. So let's go ahead and do 5 arm threads. I want you to press your palm the entire time, not like super hard, but brush it along the ground and reach as far as you can. Use your top hand to push you into more of a twist. Switch. And you're getting muscle activation when you put a little pressure against that pressing hand. And when you combine a flexibility move with a little bit of activation, you get twice as much of the result, which actually results in a greater and longer lasting increase in your range of motion. All right. So that's piece 1. This is called child's pose with arm threads. Our next piece, you're going to bring the right foot forward into a shin box. So a shin box is a 90-degree angle with my shin and my opposite shin. So, and depending on how tight your hips might be, it might not be very big. So for your bend over your right leg by taking your hands on either side of the right leg, bow your chest down, let your forehead touch the ground. Try to anchor or root your left hip back. It's not going to touch the ground, but just try to effort it in that direction. And then come back up. Shin box switch. I'm going to pivot on my feet and let my knees now face the opposite side. If we had circular mats, this would be ideal, but we don't. Bow the forehead right in front of that knee. Releasing the fascia in your back. Again, shin box switch. Bow. Bow over right leg. Shin box switch, bow over opposite leg. And when you do your shin box switch, you're basically just picking up your knees, pivoting on your ankles, and then coming down. Here to here. So it's different than a static stretch in the sense that you get to do many repetitions of it. So I'm getting synovial fluid into my hip joints, into my knee joints. I'm coming into a stretch. If I was to just hold a static stretch, I would just be stretching my ligaments and the muscle belly. But instead, I'm getting repetitions and I'm juicing up the joints. All right, next piece. Everyone meet in a shin box with right knee forward. Point the toes. Quarter turn to your right. Hands are going to line up, so my left hand lines up with my left knee. Right hand lines up with my right hip and right knee. Bow down. You may or may not be able to touch the ground. Come back up, shin box switch. Quarter turn to your left, hands line up with your knees and hips. Bow down, forearms down. Good, nice you guys, and then come back up. When you're bowing, think of wrapping your elbows in as if you're to do like a forearm stand or a forearm plank. Good. Make sure that your elbow actually lines up with your knee. Good, nice adjustment. All right, so we're almost to about 4 or 5 on each side. Eventually you get more proficient in the movement and you can switch with a little bit more efficiency and speed. All right, everyone meet in shin box with right knee forward. Now I'm going to take my left arm and thread the arm under, just like I did in my child's pose arm thread. Ear comes down. Shin box switch. Watch out for your neighbors if you need to. Right arm threads underneath. I'm keeping my threading arm close to my left thigh.
So this is with that quarter turn?
Yes, so we are building on the quarter turn. We did our quarter turn, now we're doing quarter turn plus arm thread. Let your back of your shoulder try to reach towards the floor as much as you can. And make sure that you're exhaling as you come down, the palm faces down. One more time. Good. All right, and then go ahead and come back to your child's pose. Knees out wide, hips rooted back. Let's take and measure our measuring stick, which was the arm thread, and let's see if we have any more range of motion there. Right arm threads underneath. Left arm threads underneath. So it's a subjective measurement. It's not, we don't have an actual goniometer, but you can see that things start to loosen up when you train that range.
Wow.
Does that feel pretty good? All right. Slowly start to walk your hands to the right side of your mat in child's pose, stretching the left side of your body. Breathing air into the left side ribs. Slowly come through the center, walk your hands off to the left side. Stretching into the right side of the body, let your head come with you. Slowly come back to center. Tent your fingers one last time, and then bring your your wrists onto the back of your neck and inch your elbows forward, forward, forward until you can actually get a tricep stretch here. That should feel pretty good. You can just kind of walk the elbows forward and then sit the hips back, giving yourself that traction. As long as there's no impingement. And then release the wrist back down. Slowly make your way back to a seated position. And as promised, just leave your mats where they are and let's come into our massage circle. So I'm going to